Have you ever spent weeks, maybe even months, holding those painful stretches, trying to get more flexible, only to feel just as tight the very next day? It is so frustrating. But what if I told you the entire approach most of us take is just wrong? What if there's a way to unlock lasting, permanent flexibility by working with your body instead of against it? Well, there is. Let's get into it. I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. You put in the time, you deal with the discomfort, but that deep hamstring stretch or getting into the splits, it still feels a million miles away. It's so easy to just think, well, I guess I'm just not built for it. But the real reason you're stuck probably has almost nothing to do with your muscles being too short. And this is where we flip the whole script. The old myth is that your muscles are like tight rubber bands that you need to painfully pull and lengthen. But the truth? It's way more interesting. Your tightness is actually a defense mechanism. It's your nervous system hitting the brakes because it's trying to protect you from moving into positions where it thinks you're weak and might get hurt. So you see, the real barrier we need to get past isn't a physical wall in your muscles. It's a neurological one. Your brain and your nervous system are basically the gatekeepers of your flexibility. And right now, they're running a really strict safety program designed to keep you from tearing something. This brings us to this key idea called protective tension. Just think of it like an emergency brake in your car. When you push into a deep stretch, your body goes into a position where it's not used to being strong. Your nervous system senses this potential weakness and boom, it yanks that handbrake and physically stops you from going any further. It's a brilliant safety feature, for sure, but it's holding you back from your flexibility goals. So how in the world do we convince the nervous system to let go of that brake? Well, it's actually surprisingly simple. You have to prove to it that the position isn't dangerous anymore. And the best way to do that is to show it that you are strong and in control, even when you're at the very end of your range of motion. And that leads us right to the method for doing this. It's a technique for basically hacking your own nervous system. It's called PNF, which stands for Proprioceptive Neuromuscular Facilitation. I know it's a total mouthful, but the idea behind it is incredibly simple and powerful. What PNF really does is teach your brain a brand new rule. By actively tensing your muscles while they're being stretched, you're sending a super clear signal to your brain that says, hey, see this? I'm actually strong here. I'm stable. You can let go of the emergency brake. Once your brain gets that message, it literally updates its own software. The new rule becomes strength in a stretch equals safety. And just like that, it grants you more range of motion. Okay, so that's all the theory. But how does this actually work? Let's break it down with a couple of really clear examples you can start using pretty much right away. First up, let's take a look at the classic standing forward fold. This one targets the hamstrings and your whole posterior chain. You know, that area that's notoriously tight for so many of us. All right, here's what you're gonna do. First, bend forward until you feel a good, solid stretch. Nothing crazy, just a moderate one. Then grab onto your legs somewhere to lock yourself in place. Now, here's the magic trick. Try to stand back up, but use your arms to hold you down. You're fighting yourself. This creates a powerful contraction in the very muscles you're trying to stretch. Hold that tension really hard for a few seconds, then completely relax. You'll probably find you can sink deeper into the stretch almost instantly. Just do that a few times. Okay, that's great for when you can use your hands, but what about other stretches? Let's look at another one that's amazing for hip mobility, especially for fighters, the frog split. The idea is exactly the same, but this time the floor is your resistance. So you get into your frog position until you feel that moderate stretch. Now, you're going to squeeze your leg muscles inward, like you're trying to drag your knees together through the floor. You're pushing into the ground. Hold that tension, then relax. As you get more flexible over time, you just keep applying the same method in those deeper and deeper positions. Learning the technique is one thing, but the real goal here is permanent change, right? So how do you actually use this stuff to build flexibility that lasts a lifetime? Well, the best part is, this doesn't take forever. The sweet spot for each of these contractions is short and intense. We're just talking about 5 seconds of real, focused muscle tension. And here's a super simple routine you can follow. For any muscle group you're working on, just aim for about 10 reps of those 5-second contractions. You can easily tack this on to the end of a workout or even just do it as its own little session. So why bother with this? Because the payoff is huge. You're going to see results way faster than with regular old static stretching. And the flexibility you gain actually sticks around.
For any athletes out there, this is key. It turns that passive flexibility into active, functional ability you can actually use. And maybe best of all, if you take a break and get a little tight again, you can get your range of motion back incredibly fast.
You know, the source material had a line that just summed it up perfectly. It said it's like building flexibility once and keeping it forever. This isn't just about a temporary fix. It's a permanent upgrade to your body's entire system. So that kind of leaves us with one final big question. If those physical limits you always thought you had weren't really limits at all, if they were just safety settings that you can actually change, then what does that say about your body's true potential? Once you learn to speak the language of your own nervous system, what new levels of movement and strength are just sitting there, waiting to be unlocked?